For starters, I'm going to go until 10:30 p.m. here in Thailand, which is 10:30 a.m. U.S. East Coast, 7:30 a.m. California. Best wishes to you, Mark Plot, by the way. Sorry about this. And I'm going to, at the end of that, at 10:30 p.m. here, 10:30 a.m. U.S. East Coast. Hey, it's live. I screwed up. I'm going to do a Twitter space or an X space, and I'm going to stream that live on the Daily Lie as well. So we'll see how bad I managed that technical issue. So CERN Basher, who I've had on the channel, has been talking about humanoid robots for a while. He did this jointly with Scott Walter, talking about humanoid robots, and they have all these columns, and I think this is not the important stuff about humanoid robots. The important thing that all of this misses is, do you have the potential to manufacture humanoid robots at scale? And do you have the computing power to train your AI based on the large amounts of data generated by those bots? And the answer is the only company that covers those 2 points is Tesla. Figure AI, I've commented on before. From what I've seen, it looks like a great. I think there's a tremendously brilliant idea that some people have, that if you create a company with a PowerPoint and maybe a prototype, and you say, we're going to do robots we're going to do something that Tesla's doing, and we're going to put AI in the name of our company. So we got Sanctuary AI and Formula.A or AI or something like that. Then you go to investors and you raise money, because investors are excited about AI and they're excited about anything Tesla's doing. But do any of these companies actually have a plan to manufacture bots at scale and to train real-world AI? And there's another critical point that I want to mention that I feel like a lot of people are missing. I just want to cover this before I dive into the Elon stuff. I think there's a big disconnect between what a lot of influencers are talking about with Tesla bot, with Optimus, and what I see. And I may be wrong, because everybody else is saying something different from me, so the odds are I'm wrong. I think the point of Optimus is to develop real-world AI, not to train it to do tasks. I'm not saying that there's no value in training a bot to do tasks, but the real value is to train a bot to understand the real world. And if you train it to develop real-world AI, and then you tell it to do something it's never been done before and never been trained to do, if it understands the real world, if it understands what everything is and what it needs to do, then it figures it out on its own. That's the dream, to have a general purpose humanoid robot, not a bot trained to do trained like a monkey to do specific tasks. That is the big difference. So, and thank you everybody for catching me on the chat. So, let's turn to Elon. Just a bunch of stuff that happened. The title of my stream of my new series of videos is Elon Semi-Daily. It's a partial homage to Rob Maurer. And it's basically like, because I don't do it every day, I'm calling it semi-daily. I've been doing it about every other day. So Elon Musk, so Farzad did a video talking about how YouTube has now reduced its censorship, probably induced by the pressure from X. Because X is now a platform that allows open stuff, YouTube has now allowed some videos, and you can watch Farzad's video to talk about it. But Elon says, feel that nice cool breeze of freedom. That's the Overton window opening. I'm not sure the Overton window is the correct term, but the Overton window is this idea that now what's acceptable has been expanded based on what X is doing. And now this point here, so David Sachs says, I thank my lucky stars I live in America. Elon says, the public still doesn't understand even a tiny fraction of the power of the censorship government industrial complex. As predicted, my companies and I came under relentless attack the moment the censorship of this platform was lifted. How far will they go to stop me? If you don't see, this is one of those things that I get frustrated with the influencers who complain about Elon being too busy with X. Look, it doesn't matter how successful Tesla is if we lose freedom. It doesn't matter how successful Tesla is, how much your stock goes up, if we end up with an apocalyptic scenario. And you can say, oh, you're exaggerating. Well, maybe, but, freedom of speech actually matters. And, not every country has freedom of speech. And if America loses freedom of speech, where will it be left? So SMR is no longer censoring the words F and S on YouTube, maybe less censorship. I don't know. Well, I think that you get demonetized for some of that stuff. I'm not saying that's not really censorship in the same way. Although Farzad did say his videos were monetized. And he was doing some controversial topics with, Alex Jones and Andrew Tate and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. video he had posted once before, and it had been censored, and this time it wasn't. So that's positive. Now, this was just an interesting little detail. I'm going a little bit political here, I guess, but President Trump ordered to pay $354 million in the New York civil fraud trial. Elon points out, given that there were no victims with losses, and that was Charlie Kirk said this, there's no victims. All the loans are replayed. Trump supposedly exaggerated his financial resources in order to get loans, and then he paid the loans back. So there's no victims with losses. So who's the money going to go to? And apparently the state of New York sued Trump to get money for the state of New York. Is that what the purpose of the courts is? That's dubious. I'm not a Trump fan. I've never been a Trump fan. On Cybertruck, there's some talk out there about Cybertrucks rusting, and here's what's actually happening. It turns out that there's Cybertruck steel attracts. There's some free iron that sits on the surface of the stainless steel. The stainless steel itself will not rust, but you might see what looks like rust on the surface of the steel, and that can be just cleaned off very easily with all sorts of things. So when you hear somebody saying, oh, the Cybertrucks are rusting, no, they're not. And Elon says, yeah. So it's just silly. When I saw that, I was like, stainless steel? I don't think stainless steel rusts. Like they didn't test that? Like really, you think they've had Cybertrucks sitting around all this time and they didn't notice whether they rusted or not? So this is kind of a positive beat here. Tesla will soon launch a train to its Gigafactory directly from Berlin. We'll start operating in April, taking people to Giga Berlin in just 40 minutes. Elon says this will really help our people. Positive. People think like nothing's happening. Something's happening. Good stuff's happening for Tesla. Powerwall 3 now available in the US. Elon points out the most important details. It can handle peak power of 30 kilowatts, which is enough to handle clothes dryers and air conditioners. Some of these devices, air conditioners, I knew about. I didn't know about clothes dryers, but of course, clothes dryers are usually on 24 volt or 240 volts, 24 amp outlets. Is when they start up, they have a surge of demand of electricity, and that can overwhelm some generators and other backup sources. So because Powerwall 3 can now handle peak power of 30 kilowatts, it can fire up your air conditioners, it can fire up your dryer, and that means that a single Powerwall is enough for most homes. So again, another technology improvement from Tesla, despite all the people saying, no, I'm not in America. Despite all the people saying, you don't pay $350 million for violating a gag order, Carlos. Freedom is not guaranteed. So, there's all these lost Gerbers and Barry Glacks out there saying that Tesla isn't doing anything, and other voices saying Tesla isn't doing anything, and Elon needs to be back on the job. And Tesla's innovating in so many different ways. There's so many small innovations and large innovations. This is actually a pretty big one. It's pretty important. Startup power for motors is about 10 to 20x rated power. Thank you, Zoltan. So moving on. This is just a detail about AI. We're moving off a little bit from Tesla here. I just want to cover some topics that are going on X that Elon's talking about that I think are really important. Shutterstock, a publicly traded stock image and video company, lost about $70 million in market cap in the last 2 hours. The company sells about $1 billion worth of stock photos and videos every year. People are realizing AI-generated video and imagery could decimate this industry. And Elon says, yeah, I mean, this is like a no-brainer. I'm using AI-generated images and stuff that I do with a $20 ChatGPT account, right? I'm generating images in Midjourney. I think I have a Midjourney account too. So I'm generating images, and I'm doing this half-assed, just throwing up X posts and putting them in my videos occasionally and doing them for thumbnails. What about people who actually? I never paid for Shutterstock, stuff. So, but now if you were actually spending money on Shutterstock images and you can generate them with an AI, that's going to be a big change. Yeah, I'm not back in America. I'm in Thailand. I think I'm in Thailand long term. I'm working on getting a visa, which would cover me for about 15 more months, starting at the end of March. So that's roughly where I'm at. Life in Thailand is great. Yeah, this is going to destroy. It's going to destroy like a lot of things. The changes that AI is going to cause are amazing. I did a couple of posts today on X that were AI generated. Basically, that I asked Grok to do a post about this or a post about that. I got ChatGPT to generate images. I posted. They didn't do particularly well, but I thought it was interesting to just try that out. I've talked to some YouTubers who are training an AI to imitate their voice and then write a script. A different AI writes the script, and then they put, stock video over the video, and you hear their voice telling whatever story that the AI wrote. And the one guy said he got more that the audience liked that video better than videos of himself doing his own stuff. So the EV project, it looks like if things go where I think they're going, that in roughly June, I will have my first hire. I will hire my first engineer full-time to start building prototypes. Larry Goldberg or CERN Basher and talk about Tesla Robotaxi. I'm pretty sure I've talked to Larry about Tesla Robotaxi before, and I just talked to CERN about Optimus. CERN has been more excited about Optimus than he has about Robotaxi. I have a lot of videos on my channel about Robotaxi. I've talked to James Dauma about Robotaxi and Optimus. Go to my channel and just search my channel for whatever term you're interested in. I got a ton of videos about that stuff. Yeah, Mark Potocnik says, and thank you, moderators, and who will believe videos anymore? Well, I don't know. And this is actually one of the things, I'm doing more live streams. This was not a conscious thing, but I now realize if people don't trust that videos are real, well, it's going to be a lot harder for the AIs to fake a live stream. I'm not saying they won't get there, but it's going to be years before they're able to fake a live stream and being able to engage with the chat and fake the forgetting to turn the audio on in the first minute or two of the video. Come on. Grok or ChatGPT 4, which do you like better? Overall, ChatGPT 4 is better, but today when I did one of the posts on X, I used both of them to try to generate a post, the text, and Grok understood the instructions better and did a better job. There was something that ChatGPT didn't do that was in that the prompt requested, relating the topic to Elon's companies, and ChatGPT just didn't do that at all, where Grok built the post around that. So Grok did a better job there. But, it's early. I've heard that there's a new version of Grok coming very soon. Maybe it's already happened. I don't know. So that's a big deal. This is a whole bunch of changes are coming based on just the AI we have now, and AI is going to accelerate. And, there's these jokes about Sam Altman's raising $7 trillion to fund AI. I don't think that's really happening, but congratulations, Matt Burns. Another AI thing, Google, or I forget what do they got? I don't remember what they call Google anymore. Google announced Gemini 1.5 Pro, so they have an updated large language model. Comes standard with 128 kilobyte token context window, but developers and customers can set limited private reader with an experimental 1 million token context window. When I wrote my novel, I tried to feed my entire novel to ChatGPT, and it couldn't read the whole thing. The context window wasn't big enough for that. Anthropic has a larger context window, was able to read the whole novel. To really screw it up, you need a computer, yes. Decimate means to reduce by 1/10. You're being really nitpicky there. So there's a lot of AI stuff happening. Then just a big point here, Ed Krasen. I'm not a fan of the Krasensteins anymore. I call them Krasagandas, the Krasaganda machine, but Krasagandestein. Those who aren't fathers don't know what they're missing out on. Elon was talking about, just to be here, Elon was saying, to be fair, there are also many men who favor hedonistic sex over becoming a father, then wondering why I feel so empty. This was responding to Zuby's post about how women are claiming they're having trouble finding men, but they're criticizing women for their failure to appreciate good men. And Elon points out there's many men who favor hedonistic sex over becoming a father, then wondering why I feel so empty. I did a poll a while back on X, and half the men said they would rather have sex with 1,000 different women than 1,000 times with one woman. And I personally believe that sex 1,000 times with one woman is far better, and that's a long conversation. But Elon backs it up. Actually, kids are the best. I'm doing my best to encourage more people to become parents and ideally have 3 or more kids so humanity can grow. Population collapse in most countries is a tragedy. Sales of adult diapers should never exceed sales of baby diapers. This is a big deal. I am in Thailand. My girlfriend is in the next room. I think this is serious. I think this is going to lead to more children, and I will go from 2 children to hopefully 4 or 5 children, and I'm doing my part. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because I love kids. I really love my kids, and I think I'm a really good dad, and I really enjoy being a dad, and I think my kids turned out great, so why not do more? What else am I going to do with my life that's going to have more meaning? Nothing. So last thing here, and then we'll go to the chat. We've got about 10 minutes to go, and then we're going to switch over to a space on X about common sense gun regulation and related to the Krasnogandesteins. So Nat Friedman thanks Elon for Elon's foundation for a $2 million contribution for the Vesuvius Challenge. I believe the Vesuvius Challenge is they uncovered some new documents, or I guess old documents, in the ruins of the volcano Vesuvius, and they're trying to convert the text so that they can actually understand the ancient documents. Elon supporting it. They listed some other contributors here, including Nat Friedman. But, you know, some people are chipping in, and Elon's foundation chipped in $2 million. They're hoping to be able to convert at a rate of approximately $1 per one word of recovered ancient text. Really good to discover history. How population double itself in the last years? How old is my girlfriend? My girlfriend just turned 36. So let me address this. How population have collapsed. So if you look at South Korea as the best example, South Korea has 3 times as many 50-year-olds as it has 1-year-olds. So go 50 years out, what's going to happen to South Korea's population? It's going to be 1/3 of what it is today, roughly. If the fertility rate, if the average woman has less than 2.1 children, it's complicated why it's 2.1, but if the average woman has less than, let's say, 2 children to make it simple, then the population starts shrinking. If the average woman has more than 2 children, the population grows. And the average woman in many countries is having less than 1.5 children. In some countries like South Korea, less than 1 child. And when that happens, what over the long haul, that means you're going to have fewer children compared to the number of old people, and the population is going to shrink. Because eventually the older people are going to die, and the younger people, there aren't going to be as many younger people. It creates all kinds of problems. Like if you have a system like Social Security where young people are working and paying into the system and old people are collecting, and you have more old people than young people, then it becomes a very, very burdensome system. When you had old people didn't live that long and you had 20 times as many people paying into the system, it wasn't hard to fund Social Security. But if you go to where there's more people collecting than there are paying in, that's a problem. And then, who's going to take care of the old people in the assisted living facilities and nursing homes if there's no young people around? Who's doing the work? There's all kinds of problems with population collapse. And then the question, all these people are like, well, it'll turn itself around. Why? I do have, I have been thinking about making a video or doing some content on a model I've come up with, a napkin math model of why we're seeing this drop in fertility rate. So we'll see if I get that going. If I get a semi-Dale, you're having a good time. That's right. Priest and rabbi sitting next to each other in a plane. The rabbi asked the priest, why do you wear your collar on backwards? The priest says, because I'm a father. And the father said, the rabbi said, I've got 5 kids. Okay. Priest says, I'm a father of thousands. Rabbi says, well, maybe you should have had your pants on backwards. Nice. Thank you, Mark. What you're worried about is being outbred by the Mongol hordes. No, I mean, I don't think that's it. The population collapse, every country is seeing a decline in fertility rates. There are some subcultures like some Orthodox Jews, and I think fundamentalist Muslims and maybe Mormons. I think even Mormons are seeing a fertility decline. But, so there's some subcultures where you're seeing some growth, but, in the long term, is that going to keep going? I don't know. This problem is only with small countries in Europe. South Korea is a small country. China's not a small country. This problem is in China. China's the biggest country. Well, was the biggest. See, China was the biggest country in the world, and now it isn't. How can you say it's a problem with small countries only? That's ridiculous. And Europe has got a lot of big countries. Yes, you're correct that India is still growing, but India's fertility rate is also declining. So, all right, 7 minutes left. Let me talk really quick about the fertility model, just since I don't see anything there. And real quick preview, I'm going to be doing a space on X, and I'm going to be live streaming the space on the Daily Lie, assuming I don't screw up the audio at the beginning or something else. I don't have some other technical error. I've never done it before, so there's a good chance of a technical error, so you can have fun watching me fail. Talking about common sense gun regulation. Talking about talking about this. This is Krassenstein. What I'm asking for, you'll hear people say common sense gun regulations. Well, they don't have common sense. They don't know anything about guns, but okay. So that's something I want to talk about. Japan is considering immigration for the first time. Japan is very slow on immigration, whatever they're doing. I don't care where you get the What? I don't care, Mormon. I don't care where you get them. I can't. For some reason, YouTube has a heart over the last comment in the chat. I don't know why it's doing that. Like, I'll get where you get them, but Brigham Young. Have I examined the tax regulation time? I don't have to worry about taxes in Thailand yet. I'm not a resident. I'm not a long-term resident of Thailand. I'm a resident of the United States. I earn my income in the United States. I don't believe I have to worry about tax regulations in Thailand yet. Will I have to worry about them someday? Yes, but not yet. So we need X on TV. I think that's coming. I think we're going to have X in the Tesla cars coming. Let them fix FSD and talk about bot later. So the fertility model, I'll just go over this really quickly. If you imagine that in a fantasy world, women used to start trying to have kids at 18. They would spend the first couple of years. This actually happened earlier than this, but imagine you have an 18-year-old girl graduating high school and she's trying to date to find someone to marry while she's doing whatever she's doing. Maybe she's going to college, maybe she's got a job. And it takes her 2 years to find a guy it takes her 1 year to find a guy she thinks might be the guy. She dates the guy for 2 years seriously and then makes a decision, is he the one or not? So there's a 3-year cycle. 1 year to find a guy, 2 years to stay with the guy and see if he's the one. And maybe he dumps her, maybe she dumps him, but call it an average of 3-year cycle. So, and let's say there's a 50% chance that works out and they start having kids. So you have cycle 1, 18 to 21, 21 to 24, 24 to 27, 27 to 30, 30 to 33, and 33 to 36. You get 6 cycles. The probability of not having children after 6 cycles ends up being really small. And this is a simple model. You can make it more complicated. If women don't start trying until they're 30, then they only get 2 cycles, and the probability of not having children goes up dramatically. That's the big point. So we'll see. Expat. I'm not an expat yet, but I think I will become an expat. I'm not sure how all that works. I'm not worried about it yet. Like I said, I don't have a long-term visa yet. I'm still here as a tourist. Once I have a long-term visa, I can start thinking about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm a U.S. resident. I'm a Florida resident. I make my money in the United States. I have my banking in the United States and everything. Really liked your tweet about the Tucker interview. One voice of reason with having an ideologically left or right nonsense opinion. I mean, I'm ideological, but all right, 3 minutes left here. Go to Google and see population chart. The world is okay. Zaki, you can turn your head up. You can put your head up your ass if you want to. The practical reality is fertility rates are declining worldwide, even in countries that have high fertility rates. Fertility rates are declining worldwide. And, South Korea, just Google South Korea fertility. Google China fertility. I mean, you can stick your head up your butt if you want, but, try to actually read something other than whatever you want to tell you what you want to hear. We need more people so they can buy more Teslas. Thank you for your voice on freedom, speech, and gun rights. Thank you. Functional vocabulary is an integral part of any thriving culture. Oh, you're still caught on decimate versus annihilate? Okay. So women are too picky in their youth. No, women are appropriately picky in their youth. But the problem is that women are not determined to find a partner and have children when they're 18. When I was a kid, it was very common for someone to marry their high school sweetheart. It was somewhat common for someone to marry their high school sweetheart. I have several friends who got married in their early 20s and started having kids. And today, that's pretty unusual. People don't want to bring children into this world. I get that. And it's nothing to do with people not wanting to bring children. So is there some, do you see that sentiment somewhat? Yes. That's not the point. The point is that we've trained our 18-year-olds, hey, go get a college education, go get a job, build a career, and worry about kids later. And we should be telling kids at 18, hey, this is the perfect time for you to have kids, and we're going to set up society so that you'll be able to have a good career after your kids reach a certain age. You'll be able to get value out of society. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up now. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you to the moderators. Please send my best wishes to Mark Plott. I'm going to shift over. I put it at the pinned post in the chat, and in the top of the video description, there's a link to the X space and there's a link to the Daily Live where I'm going to be talking about all that stuff. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to stop now and move over there. Thanks, everybody.